Looks like we're going to have us another grilling session tonight. We had one last week about this time. I think it was on Thursday. This week we're a little early on a Wednesday. I'm going to try to bring a few people in here tonight. A guy that was sort of controversial last week on my show, Numbskull News, had a few choice words about Bob Stoops and what he thought about them being overrated. I've also seen a few articles out there that are basically saying, one of them was ESPN's Reese Davis was saying that Oklahoma and Tennessee shouldn't have any trouble with beating Oklahoma in Norman, that Oklahoma would lose their very first game in the SEC. So it doesn't look like Oklahoma's getting a lot of respect these days when it comes to the SEC and other people outside the SEC. We'll also probably talk about Lincoln Riley, the podcast I did today. He done lost 2 5-stars back-to-back. And now they've dodged Ole Miss, of all people. They backed out of the Ole Miss game. They had enough time to do this one. The LSU game was too close dated, so they weren't able to back out of that one. Probably talk about that a little bit as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring in Jonathan Lewis right now, and maybe later on we'll bring in Numbskull News and possibly Killer Breeze. We're going to take turns tonight, put people in queue so we don't talk over each other, so people can debate their point without interrupting each other. We'll bring in Numbskull, then possibly bring in Killer Breeze if he shows up, and then maybe even Kuz might show up. He might make a special guest appearance. So let's bring in our first guest of the night. It's college football with Jonathan Lewis.
Fred Bagley gives me no room. I'm not even on yet. I'm catching it. Dude, no, it's awesome. I'm glad to be on here, obviously, as always. Obviously, the normals on here. I haven't seen Mary Caroline on here in a while, but I don't usually watch the whole live stream. I'm like 80% of it. But Rye Guy's on here. What's going on, man? Eric Taco Marine. I love that name, dude. But yeah, thanks, Fred.
Yeah, Rye Guy, I think you should grill the ever-loving shit out of USC. I have grilled the shit out of them today, Rye Guy. You need to check that channel out. I've got Oregon some kudos. I'm going to start doing some more Oregon videos for you guys, too, because got quite a few Oregon people in here. Yeah, and, USC's already getting their shit took by Ohio State. They had a couple of decommits. One of them was thinking about going to Ohio State. And coming over to the Big Ten may not be as big a help to them as they think. Ohio State, Michigan, and even Wisconsin, Penn State might take their recruits from them. But the original OG on all that has always been Oregon. Oregon's been taking their shit for a long time. So
yeah, they've been sneakily there the whole. They're like the kid poking you in the eye for USC, but they don't get attention for it, and for some reason I've never understood why not.
Oregon's finished in the top 10 recruiting the past 2 or 3 years, and USC hasn't. So
yeah. I mean, Oregon is picked as one of the favorites to win the Big Ten this year. So I mean, they're not a rollover team, but I mean, there's a lot we can sit here and dive into. There's a lot of articles we can dig into. I'm sure Oklahoma fans are going to be pissed off at me tonight in some degree because you know me, I'm not going to hold back on any way, shape, or form. So I'm just warning any Oklahoma fans out there, you may be a little ticked off at me today. So because of what you said, that article that was released, was it Reese Davis that released that? Yeah, it was Reese Davis that released that article talking about Oklahoma versus Tennessee. But what do you want to start off with? Do you want to start off with USC losing?
We can start off with that Reese Davis article. Can you actually pull it up on your end, or should I pull it
up? Let me see if it allows me to pull it up on this. Let's see here. Is it showing it?
I can pull it right here. No. I can add it to the stage.
There we go. So as you guys can see here, but it's me moving it up and down, or no?
Yeah, you're moving it up and down.
Okay. So it says ESPN's Reese Davis makes strong statement about Tennessee Vols matchup against the Oklahoma Sooners in 2024. I'm not going to sit here and read over the whole thing. Here's basically what he's saying. He's saying that Oklahoma's coming in a little bit too ramped up, thinking they're just going to blow through Tennessee and blow through certain SEC teams, and that's not going to be the case. Reese Davis in this article actually states that he thinks that Oklahoma almost has no chance, and that Tennessee is going to literally doghouse Oklahoma. How much of that I'll agree with? Not all of it. I'm not going to say they're going to doghouse Oklahoma, but I do think you are very misguided if you think that you're just going to beat Tennessee with no complication, or you're just going to beat teams like that, period, in the SEC, other than maybe a Vanderbilt, right? There's even cases with Mississippi State, obviously Ole Miss. And I think Reese Davis really is on this article trying to prove a point that there's too many Oklahoma fans, there's too many Texas fans thinking they're going to come in the SEC and just start doghousing people, and that's not going to be the case here. You're going to have consistent matchups that are always not going to be in your favor, right? Oklahoma has a lot of talent, but how does the talent match up week in and week out? What does the depth look like, right? Brent Venables has not been there 5, 6, 7 years. The depth isn't where he probably wants it to be, and I think most Oklahoma fans can agree with that. You're going to have the few delusional fans that are thinking they're going to win the national championship this year, right? And that's being, like I said, very delusional. You're having a brand new quarterback, unproven quarterback, who I love. I love Jackson Arnold. I have videos on Jackson Arnold, how much I covered him in high school, and then him being recruited. And I was one of the few that I predicted correct for him to go to Oklahoma because of Lebby and that offense they had there. Obviously, Lebby's not there anymore at Mississippi State. We're beyond that, though, right? He's already at Oklahoma. He's staying at Oklahoma. He's not going nowhere. But he's unproven, right? There's so many question marks on Oklahoma. And it's easy to say they're going to go 10-2. But if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I wouldn't be offended if someone said they're going 7-5. Because you don't know what this team's going to look like in the SEC for week in and week out. And I think that's a fair point to make. Reese Davis is not going off the hinges here, right? They could be dogged out by Tennessee, just like Oklahoma could dog them out. But which one is more likely?
Yeah, but for either team to be dismissive of the other is sort of stupid when both teams are former national champions and former conference champions multiple times. It's not like you're playing Vanderbilt, like you said. And I got into it with one of the Oklahoma people, Daryl Madden, because I actually made a very positive video about Oklahoma here recently and their recruiting prowess. And I was saying, y'all need to be patient with Brent Venables. Don't expect him to come in here and win 11 games his first year. If he does, that's great. I hope he does. But this guy, Daryl, was telling me that there was no other team on their schedule that they should be scared of other than Alabama. That these other teams just don't have the talent to stack up against Oklahoma. And I'm like, I don't understand where that's coming from.
That doesn't make sense.
That just don't make no sense. To be totally dismissive of Tennessee and Auburn is a huge mistake. To talk about, you're going to be undefeated in the conference until you play Alabama. Tennessee and Auburn are not pushovers. So, and plus you have to go to Auburn. And I told him I thought that, Oklahoma might go 9-3 or 8-4. And if I were Oklahoma fans, I'd be happy with that. And he got pissed off at me because I wouldn't say that Oklahoma was going to win 10 or 11 games. He said, "What is I thought your channel was predicated on blah, blah, blah." And like, my channel is predicated on telling the truth, man. Just hardcore truth. And if you don't like what I'm saying, then you just have to disagree with me. And we have to agree to disagree.
Like my channel, none of your channels are built on the same premises. They're just used. They're two different styles, right? Me, I'm statistic and more analytical. You know what I mean? Whereas you're not. But you have a lot more knowledge in college football watching these games than I do as well. So there's a lot more to take away from both sides that says Tennessee has been better the past few years. It's not like the Vols in 20. And you're right. Tennessee's not like they were. Tennessee looks way better, right, than what they've been since they beat Alabama, right, for the first time in, what was that, 16 years? So, I mean, it's not the same team. But at the same time, Reese isn't talking about just Oklahoma. Because let me bring up the article here. I think the key pieces right here that I'll read off. No disrespect intended to Oklahoma. I'm not sure where I am on the Sooners right now, continued Davis. As the summer goes on and we get a little more in depth, my tune may completely change. But at the moment, I look at that and say, well, that's a game Tennessee will win. So he's saying that, look, Tennessee's is going to win that game. Maybe I'll change my mind by late August on it, but I think Tennessee has a chance to make a run and be right at the edge of the playoff contention. So he's not really disrespecting Oklahoma by saying they're going to get doghoused, really. But what he's saying is, in tune, is like, look, Tennessee's a really good team, and Oklahoma is just not there yet.
He's more in lines of trying to support Tennessee in his dark horse pick. He's basically saying that he thinks that Tennessee is maybe a dark horse to win the SEC and go to the playoffs. That's his pick for a dark horse, and it just happens to come at the expense of Oklahoma in the very first SEC game for Oklahoma and Tennessee, the very first ever SEC game for Oklahoma, and they get it in Norman. So that's a nice little gift to the Sooners, even though they didn't give them as easy schedule as Texas has got.
Well, who you're playing against at quarterback, Nico MLO Levi. I can't remember say his last name. I never can. Nico, we don't know what we're going to get out of Nico, just like we don't know what we're going to get out of Jackson Arnold. They're both very high-profile quarterbacks. They both came out of the same class. In my opinion, they were 1 and 2. I had Jackson Arnold 1, and then I had Nico at number 2. So, and I still feel comfortable with that. But I don't know how that's going to turn out. Just because I look at something and think I know what I'm talking about does not mean I know what the hell I'm talking about. We all know this. Nobody knows for sure. Right? We're just guessing based on preference and biases and what we've seen in the past, plain and simple. But I can tell you this much. Tennessee has been through the gauntlet. Tennessee has lived in the SEC. Oklahoma has not done that. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from it is experience will play a part in this, right? So going to these venues, it's not going to be like you're in the Big 12. You're not going to Baylor. You're not going to TCU. You know what I mean? Going to Tennessee, going to Mississippi State. Mississippi State is loud as hell. The stupid cowbells are annoying. You think that's not going to affect an office that's never seen something like that before? Yeah, it does because it affects everyone. That's why everybody hates it and they want to get rid of it, right? Tennessee holds over 100,000 people. It's one of the biggest venues in college football. That's huge. I know they're not going to Tennessee. But, I mean, there's a lot of this that they're going to experience for the first time in the SEC, and it's going to be new. Just like if Alabama went to the Big 12, what they would see is going to be new. You wouldn't just say they're going to run through everybody, right? So I know most people would, but it's an unfair assumption. So Mike Happy says, maybe I am overly optimistic, but I have 3 toss-ups on OU's schedule. So, I mean, I don't know what you would consider a toss-up, flipping a coin, but I can tell you this much. Here's what I stand behind. I'm a gambling man. Everybody that watches my channel should know I gamble because I talk about gambling on football all the time. Vegas does not lose money for a reason. Vegas, they occasionally lose money, but Vegas is built the way they're built for a reason. They don't have those big buildings for nothing. It's because they win money. And as the last time I looked, they had Oklahoma at 7.5.
Right.
So right. So
7 or 8 games.
Exactly. So you're looking at 7 or 8 wins in the season.
Now, at first that line coming was 6-6. So
yeah, but it's going to adjust based on the people betting, right? So Vegas had them at 6-6 to start the year, or to start the cycle. But now it's been moved to 7.5. So, and it's going to continue to adjust the closer we get to the season. It will probably more than likely move up than down because people, for some reason, Oklahoma is like a darling school. People love betting positively on Oklahoma versus Auburn. If you look at Auburn usually doesn't go up; they usually go down. When you look at the gambling, when you look at spreads and stuff, Auburn's not a favorite to ever almost go up; they go down. So Oklahoma is almost always starting in the middle, and they go up. So
it says Reese Davis does not speak for the majority.
No, of course nobody speaks for the majority.
But as majority as in the national media, it's sort of down the middle. A lot of people are thinking that Oklahoma is going to struggle more so than Texas. So Reese Davis is not really speaking as a minority in this at all. I personally think Oklahoma can win 9 games, and they might be able to sneak that 10th win in. But most people don't think like I do. So, you know.
Fred Bagley said nobody that has a neck beard like that can possibly know everything.
That's right.
That's where this is all knowledge. That's what you guys don't get. See, if you have a neck beard, that's knowledge. And see, the Rye guy makes a point. Yeah, you did. But what's the key word in there? Years ago.
Yeah, that was a bad Tennessee team that also, I think, got beat by BYU in the stadium. So
they didn't have Nico. They didn't have this type of talent coming in. Josh Heupel, by the way, Josh Heupel was at Oklahoma. This is the first time I believe Josh Heupel will be back to Oklahoma to face his prior team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is.
I want to share something real quick here. Now that I'm thinking about it, it says Oregon football recruiting. Oregon's got Dimitri Manning commits to the Ducks over Big Ten foes. So they scored another massive recruit in the class of 225. Inside offensive lineman Dimitri Manning has announced his commitment to the Ducks. And goes on down here to say that he's from Bellevue, Washington. 6'5", 345 pounds. Is a massive addition to Oregon. So
that's a big fella.
He I'm trying to see who he picked him over, but from what they're saying, he picked Dimitri picked Oregon over numerous Big Ten schools, not just West Coast schools. And that's what a lot of people point to with USC. They're going to go over to the Big Ten, and now suddenly they're going to be going head to head with the Blue Bloods of Michigan and Ohio State. And I just think that people overlook, as I said earlier, the Oregon Ducks. For some reason, they continue to overlook Oregon. I guess it's because they've never won a national championship. But Ohio State and Michigan's not going to be doing anything new that Oregon's not already doing. If people want to see a recipe on how to handle USC on the recruiting trail, just follow what the Oregon Ducks have been doing to them. And that wall that they claim they was going to build around California,
not there.
That's not that wall's probably not any stronger than the Biden wall down there on the border in Texas. So.
Yeah.
Even Alabama and Oklahoma, who are way the hell over here in the East, have been going into California and taking shit from USC. Recruits that USC did want. They can't come in and say, "Oh, we didn't want them," because that's a lie. Because the recruits said that they chose Alabama and Oklahoma and Oregon and Ohio State over USC. Good. The city of Los Angeles is not the recruiting tool that it once was.
Just call it what it is. Lincoln Riley is not a great head coach. Just call it what it is. He's overrated. He was overrated the moment he went in. I mean, you're going to have to go back to the Oklahoma days and say he was even overrated at Oklahoma because he was there, like it or not. So no matter if you were a Lincoln Riley supporter or hater, even when he left or whatever it may be, the guy has proved nothing. I'm sorry. Like, since he got to USC, he talked about him not being able to recruit in Oklahoma. That's his scapegoat, right? Well, Brent Venables has clearly out-recruited him compared to his past, and now is out-recruiting him now with him at USC. So he's proved that completely wrong. Lincoln Riley gets too much damn hype for what he does. There's no doubt about it. How many national championships has Lincoln Riley won?
He can't hold on to a defensive recruit. I was going, like I said, I've done a video today on that shit. Waking up this morning thinking I'm going to grill him about that one he lost. And before I can get on the computer, he's done lost another one. He lost 2 5-stars in a span of 48 hours, man. And they're always defensive players, it seems like. I know we all get decommits. I know it's not something that's just USC. Everybody gets decommits, but it's like theirs is profoundly epic. I mean, they're getting these big 5-star defensive players that commit, and then for some reason they change their mind. I guess they go and make other visits to campuses that actually look like campuses and not a war zone or a damn sewage pipe gone bad, in the middle of LA.
Well, I got a question for everybody. How many times have you seen Lincoln Riley in sports media? None. Lincoln Riley doesn't make noise. Lincoln Riley does not do what you have to do to get these recruits. I lied. He'll get the recruit, but he won't maintain the recruit. That's the key part of all of this. Who cares that the guy verbally commits to you 3 years ago? The question is when it comes to signing day, is he signing on the paper? Is he signing through the fax or whatever the hell they use these days, right, to get over to your school? No, a lot of them do not. That was the case at Oklahoma. It's the case now at USC. Nothing has changed from Oklahoma to USC, except now he finally fired Alex Grinch. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have fired him if he hadn't been forced to, really.
Exactly.
And what do you think about them backing out of the Ole Miss game?
It's a cowardly move. I don't care you're playing a Big Ten schedule. Like, does Ole Miss not play an SEC schedule? Am I missing something here? It's like LSU. LSU plays the SEC schedule. They backed out of that game for next year or whatever.
And people give us hell for playing these cupcakes, but we have to replace those games. And if you have to replace a game last minute, you end up getting stuck with a cupcake.
Yes, it happens a lot more than we realize.
Because Nick Saban alluded to that. People say, he's like, you give us hell about not playing big time schools home and home. He said, but we've approached people to play us home and home. They don't want to do it. So the next best thing is to play them in a neutral site. And ain't all Alabama wanting to do that in the SEC. And I think another reason, and they might not come out and say this, but they didn't want to play Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's a former head coach at USC. They fired him on the tarmac. I can guarantee you, had that game got out of control and it was 63-14 with 3 or 4 minutes left to go, if Ole Miss had the ball, Lane would drive down there and score 70. Guarantee you.
Yeah, that would look really bad on USC to lose to Lane Kiffin. It would. Sooner in Texas, Jesse, I've accepted and embraced. And that's what you have to do, embrace the underdog role for Oklahoma. We will not win the SEC, but we'll surprise some teams, BC, Missouri. Yes, and that's the way it should be, though. Oklahoma fans, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, right, and I'm coming to the SEC, here's what I'm saying. 7-5 is what I'm looking at. Everything else from there on is cake. It's icing on the cake, right? That way you're not disappointed because you don't know what type of year you're about to have. Nobody does. Initiate and maintain. So, yeah, Lincoln Riley is good at getting the player to initially recruit. It's the maintaining the relationship part that he struggles with really bad.
What Mary Caroline's saying. She says Lincoln Riley doesn't seem to be able to initiate and maintain relationships with players and commits. Yeah, he thinks once he's got the commit that he shouldn't have to do any more work. Which I don't know what one other person that's worse at recruiting than him with a big name, and that's con time. What about that con time situation where there's a lot of players that are leaving the team again because he tried to force them to go to a concert to support his son, who was I guess rapping on stage.
Dude, when it comes to Colorado and Deion, I don't care.
Well, Shadir Sanders, I think it was going to be on stage rapping with some well-known rap artist. I don't know his name. And Deion told them that they all needed to go, trying to basically force him to go and support his son.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I mean,
Deion Sanders is not a head coach.
And a lot of the players that have walked out on him again are saying that he's playing daddy ball.
Yeah.
That's what they called it, man. They called it daddy ball.
Dude, the moment he showed up and just announced his son as the quarterback without even literally holding one practice is the moment I stopped paying attention to Deion Sanders. He's a fraud at that point to me.
But yeah, he come in and said, this is your starting quarterback, guys.
Yeah.
And he didn't give that guy a chance at all.
None of them. So guess what? You're a fraud at that point. You're there for one reason, to garner attention for your sons, and that's it. So I could care less. He's not going to win. It's pretty clear when you saw it last year. The dude can't coach. So,
a lot of these Big Ten schools are backing out of these non-conference games. I think Ohio State backed out of one. I can't remember who, but they replaced them today with Grambling. See what I'm talking about? And they've been giving us hell about that for years. And that's why we only play 8 SEC games, because our conference is so tough. And it allows us to schedule non-conference games like that. If we had to play 9 or 10 SEC games, we couldn't schedule a nice little change of pace non-conference power game.
Yeah.
But when we try to do it, y'all back out of it now, all of a sudden, because your conference is expanding. We've been expanding our conference since 1992. You see us backing out of shit like that?
So, Rygay says Lane Kiffin wasn't as good of a coach at Tennessee or SC&T. I have to disagree with that. He almost beat Alabama his first year at Tennessee. He actually improved Tennessee quite a bit that first season. With experience, obviously, I think he's a better coach now just through experience. But I think he was going to be – I think he could have did great things at Tennessee Tennessee made huge waves in recruiting his first year he was there. He almost beat Alabama. That was the closest anybody at Tennessee has gotten in a long time against Alabama, right? So
until they beat us 2 years ago, that was the closest that Tennessee had gotten to us in about 15 years.
Yeah. So I mean, he won some big games at Tennessee during that year.
He didn't get fired at Tennessee.
No, he left.
He left on his own to go to USC because he thought it was a better job. And it probably could be a better job if their culture and the way they act and some of their boosters. USC has that same problem that Texas has got, that Alabama used to have.
Yeah.
And like I said, the whole LA thing is just overplayed. It's not what it used to be. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, you're dealing with the boosters, and I believe USC is just naturally an overrated position as a job. I don't think USC is as good a job as what people put it out to be. People assume just because USC is on the list, it's just a great job.
Tobin Bradshaw's in the house. He's one of our donors. Appreciate you, Tobin, being in here. I ain't seen you in a while, brother.
So what happened? That's what it's turned into. It's turned into a wooden fence that has rotted out. That's what it is.
Was it even ever a fence?
Maybe.
I think it was maybe a speed bump in the road or some shit. He can't keep kids in California. I mean, he's having problems. He's having problems recruiting in that city, not just the state.
Yeah,
he's having problems going up against UCLA sometimes. And he went and stole their defensive coordinator like that was some big grand hire. You know, you got your boy USC J is for jackass over there ballyhooing that shit, talking about, oh yeah, we stole UCLA's defensive coordinator. We're in the sauce, baby. We got the sauce going on. Well, USC's in the sauce right now, in that dookie doo sauce, man. They're getting their shit took and pushed in by everybody.
Yeah, they did go 7-5 last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
would like to have a graph and compare them to other teams that went 7-5 and how much their coaches make compared to Lincoln Riley.
It's embarrassing.
Like, can you think of some 7-5 and 6-6 teams out there and the kind of coach they paid money for compared to the money that they're paying? I mean, I don't even know how big of his buyout is. I mean, even if he goes 7-5 this year, can they afford to buy out?
No, probably not.
I mean, they are a big brand, so they might be able to. I don't know if they got Texas money out there or not.
They bought him what, a $20 million house. So I mean, I don't know if they're going to be willing to buy him out. So, oh man,
these OU teams play down to the level of their competition. How many times they get a big lead, let other teams back into the game?
Yeah, he's talking about with Lincoln Riley, and you're right. Like, nothing was just overly impressive with Lincoln Riley anywhere he's been. You got to be able to win the big game. You know what Lincoln Riley is? He's a rich man's version of Mark Richt. That's what he is. He just can't win the big game, right? He'll get you 10 wins for the most part, right? When he's at Oklahoma, he got Oklahoma consistently winning their division or winning their conference championship or getting to 10 wins, right?
Did they win a conference title under Lincoln Riley? I can't remember.
Probably, I would assume. But like,
so Mark Richt won a few conference titles until Nick Saban showed up.
Well, that's why I said, like, he's
that shit comes to an abrupt halt.
But they're one of the same, right? Like, they can never get over the hump. They had the players. You can't tell me they didn't have the players. Because Mark Richt had a hell of a when they had Matthew Stafford and my God, what was that running back's name? Gurley, like, and those guys, dude. Are you AJ Green? Like, get out of here, bro.
Big Cajones Kelly's in the house. He says Lynn is a hell of a defensive coordinator at NGIL. I'm not sure what that's all about.
Lincoln is a hell of a defensive coordinator, not going to lie.
Lynn?
So.
Who is Lynn?
Yeah,
is
big
that,
on.
Is that the UCLA guy? I'm not sure.
I believe he's referring to UCLA.
He's a hell of a defensive coordinator, all right. They didn't seem like they made any strides to me last year. So they almost lost to con time. They almost blew a damn big-ass lead.
Yeah.
Shit ended up 49-42 and ends up 49-14. That's a hell of an improvement.
Like, and I know people don't want to hear this. Like when you talk about, and I know this is going to suck, Oklahoma fans. Like I said, you're probably not going to be fans of mine very much after tonight. But when you look at the whole mockery of you have Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC, if I'm Oklahoma fans, I wouldn't be mocking Texas. And if I'm Texas fans, I wouldn't be mocking Oklahoma. Why? Because, yes, Oklahoma has owned your ass as of lately. But Texas has the most recent national championship. There's no way around it. There's no getting around it. And OU is one of the few universities that just burned their own coach to the ground and continue to do it to this day. Do they not? I can't name many places that just completely have ridden a coach for this many years. What is it, 2 going on 3 years since Lincoln Riley has left?
That's my fault.
But you get my point.
I've been riding the hell out of him. I've been grilling his ass since day one. I made a promise that every time he opened that mouth and said something stupid, I was being on his ass. And that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. So, and Ryguy says, what has UCLA accomplished in the past 30 years? Well, versus USC, they've beaten LSU.
Well, they did a couple of years ago. They put 62 on USC, beat them 62-37.
The UCLA, and it's UCLA. It's not USC, right? The prestigious USC.
Neither one of those teams, to his point, have done what they should do.
No, absolutely.
Both of them teams are supposedly in this grandiose marketing area with all this great shit to get recruits to come and play for them, and it just never happens. Just never happens, man.
So I do have a question for you and the Sooner fans, because Sooner in Texas says Bob Stoops left Lincoln Riley loaded, but Lincoln didn't think defense was important. Was Bob Stoops, did he have good defense when he was there or no?
At the beginning, Bob Stoops had good defenses. They won a national title, but as it progressed and got down the road, Brent Venables and his brother were on staff together. His brother left and took the job at Arizona, and then Brent Venables took over the defensive coordinator spot full time.
Yeah.
When Stoops got fired, I think it was Mark or Mike Stoops. I think it was Mike Stoops. Mike Stoops got fired at Arizona. He come back, and Bob Stoops played nepotism and give him back co-defensive coordinator. And it sort of rubbed Brent Venables the wrong way. People don't like to talk about that shit, but it pissed Brent off a little bit. And that's why he left and went to Clemson. And he was there for about 8 or 9 years and done a good job there too. And now he's back at Oklahoma. But towards the end of Bob Stoops' career, he was having problems with recruiting defensive linemen and offensive linemen, just like Lincoln Riley was. So and I think that's what led into that. And, he was basically tutoring Lincoln Riley. It might piss people off, but the last 2 or 3 years of Bob Stoops' tenure was not nothing to be. Well, it wasn't that great to me.
Yeah, and so essentially, what we're talking about is, by you saying that, if Brent Venables would have stayed there, it could have been Brent Venables taking over, possibly.
Yeah, possibly so.
Over instead of Lincoln Riley.
Possibly so.
I get it.
My point is, Bob shouldn't have brought his brother back in.
No, of course,
I agree. Give him, the same position and made him co-defensive coordinator with Brent after Brent had stayed there and built the defense.
Gotcha.
And when Brent left, the defense started tapering off just a little bit. A lot of Oklahoma fans will tell you that they really didn't like Mike Stoops, and he was one of the reasons why, when he came back, that Oklahoma's defenses started tapering off. And like Fred Bagley says right here, his defenses were all right until the last 2 or 3 years, and that's what I just alluded to. His last 2 or 3 years, the defenses didn't look too good, and he was in the midst of tutoring Lincoln Riley. So some of this might be Bob Stoops' fault.
So, it's probably a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of a mixture. And Sooner in Texas said, okay, Jonathan, when was the last time Texas won a national? We're not caring about before then. I'm talking about most recently. So what I'm getting at is both sides have something to boast about. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think Texas is a blue blood, if that should tell you anything. So, like,
Texas probably hasn't qualified for blue blood status yet.
no.
That because, I sort of struggle with Miami being a blue blood, even though they have 5 titles. A lot of people consider the 5 title plateau as blue blood status. Yeah. Miami was only good for maybe 20 years out of 120 years.
But you got to think about this too. Miami's a new football program compared to most. So those 5 titles came in a much shorter span than most colleges. Wouldn't you agree that are blue bloods? Yeah. I mean, Miami didn't always have a football program. So that's got to be considered as well.
Just so y'all know, I did invite Numbskull News on here. I know a lot of y'all didn't like him, and he has yet to show up yet. I asked him if he wanted to come on here and debate Killer Breeze, but neither one of them showed up, so I guess they're both scared of each other. I guess he got a little gun shy after y'all railed his ass for that Bob Stoops comment, because they got on his ass about that.
Oh, man.
Look, I don't think Bob Stoops is overrated like he said. I think, he did only win 1 national title, but you can't compare him to other one-and-dones like Gene Chizik and Ed Orgeron and Larry Coker, because those guys followed up their national championship with losing seasons. Bob Stoops didn't do that. Bob Stoops followed it up with an appearance in the national title game again, and then he also won numerous conference titles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Could it be because the conference you're in? Yeah, Gene Chizik doesn't play in the Big 12.
I mean, Texas A&M and Missouri left, and who else left? Nebraska and Colorado left. I mean, the only team you were left with was Texas.
I mean,
the other ones are just middle-of-the-road teams. Yeah, I know Baylor and Oklahoma State pop up and have an occasional 9 or 10 win season. But for the most part, the rest of those teams is like you alluded to. They're middle of the road teams at best, and a lot of them are only averaging 3 or 4 wins a season, like Kansas until here recently.
Yeah, and once again, I think that's going to be the difference in play. Is that you have the Vanderbilts. Outside of Vanderbilt in the SEC, you could lose the game.
Like
anybody.
Vanderbilt will beat your ass too.
Well, yeah. I mean, they beat Tennessee 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah, so they beat Georgia 1 year.
So I mean, yeah, you're right. But I'm saying for the most part, even if you think you're just going to go into Kentucky and just win, you're crazy.
Now Kentucky's sort of off and on, man. They'll start off hot, and then they'll just at the end of the season they look like the Kentucky from the 1980s. It's just shit. They ain't got no defense at the end of the year. I think it's their conditioning program or how they're approaching defense or how they're conditioning these players. I'm not sure because, there's a Stoops that's actually coaching Kentucky.
I can tell you what it is. Kentucky doesn't have what most SEC teams have. Depth. Maybe that's it. That's what I alluded to when I said Oklahoma has more depth than they had when Brent Venables first started, but I still believe it's going to show up towards the end of the year a little bit.
David Wood brings up an interesting point. Ewers will be injured again.
I mean, I'm not going to wish that upon anybody, and I'm sure you're not either. But I'm not going to just allude to somebody.
If he does, do you think Arch Manning's ready for the task?
Yes, he is. The spring game was ridiculous. Right. I'll be honest with you. Spring game looked like he was better than Ewers. So a lot of people better hope maybe Ewers doesn't get hurt, in my opinion. Because I watched the spring game and the practices they had. And, look, I don't like Arch Manning. But that dude has the smarts. I don't know if he's going to have the talent as far as arm talent and whatever else goes into play. But it's pretty damn clear he knows how to read a defense. And if you watch him, he has way more responsibility already on that offense than what Ewers does. So you may be hoping that he doesn't get hurt. And I'm talking about everybody. Because nobody wants to face that and be the guy that loses to Arch Manning when everybody was talking shit about him.
Of all the SEC teams this year, I'm going to throw you a curveball question here. Of all the SEC teams this year that people think are going to be close to the top 10 or in playoff contention, who do you think is going to be the flop a team that's going to be, that's everybody thinks they're going to at least go 9-3. They might end up going
that's easy.
6-6.
That's easy. You know who I'm going to say to this. It's Missouri. I have no respect for Missouri.
You're going to get them mid-poos up in here, man. They
I
come
don't
up here
care.
and they'll be dookie doing on my channel.
I don't think Missouri's going to have a good year. By good, I don't think they're going to win 10 games. I think they'll win 7 to 8, maybe. I
think the most overrated team that everybody's on board with is LSU.
Do what? LSU?
Yeah. I don't see LSU doing as good as people think. I think Brian Kelly's a total farce. I think he'll get exposed. They won that one game against Alabama, and suddenly they think that he is going to be the guy.
Yep.
And then he comes back the following year and shits the bed.
Well, I think this year Brian Kelly has to win because he has a quarterback that's been there in the system in Nussmeier. He has proven guys now that have been in that system, right? So this is the year, in my opinion, for Brian Kelly. And it's funny because Fanatic Sports there says no love for Mizzou. It's because, look, my no love for Mizzou comes from the same reason I don't like Penn State. I have picked Missouri on key games multiple times that they should have won and didn't. So I'm tired of it. I'm over them, just like I'm over Penn State, and I give them nothing.
Well, y'all getting that whole Lincoln Riley mentality about you with LSU. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their defense.
No, I know what you're saying. Oh, you're talking about LSU's defense.
I don't think they're going to win because of their defense, man.
Yeah.
Their defense hasn't proven anything since he's been there.
No, it hasn't. So I actually do like Nussmeier. I think Nussmeier looks good as a quarterback, but like you just said, his defense has shown nothing. So, and I think most, even Big Honus Kelly here, can say that he doesn't think LSU's defense has looked good since Brian Kelly's been there.
I don't know if he's asking you that question or me. Do I not like quarterback Nussmeier? I really don't know a lot about Nussmeier, but from what Jonathan's saying, he's a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
My problem with LSU is they have no defense, and I think it's going to come back to bite them this year. And they're going to end up about 8-4.
Yeah,
maybe 7-5.
And Fanatic brings up a really good point. Mizzou did change their whole defense, and they did change their entire defensive staff this year. They lost almost everybody. But I think what it's going to come down to is I have a problem with consistency. And I get it. They're slowly improving. People want to say each year. I don't see how you're going to improve off of last season by garnering a harder schedule, right? So you may be just as good, if not better, this year than last, but you will lose more games. Why? Because your schedule is that much harder. Why? Because instead of playing Mississippi State, instead of playing Vanderbilt, right? Instead of playing, no disrespect to South Carolina, now you're playing Texas and Oklahoma, or one of them, right? Or Georgia, or whoever. And it's a tremendously harder schedule, even though you have the same or better talent. And I feel that it's the same thing with Oklahoma and Texas. You're not going to come into the SEC and think you're just going to win 11 games. I know Texas fans want to think that, but it's probably realistically not going to happen where you're going to go 11-1 in the SEC in year one.
Well, don't get it twisted. I like LSU, unlike a lot of Alabama fans. I hope LSU does well. And LSU could have probably been a dynasty had they been able to stick with the coach. They've had 3 different coaches win national championships there. Through all that turmoil, LSU has the second most national titles this century, only behind Alabama. So if they can get a coach in there that don't have some shadiness about him, LSU could be a dynasty program. But I'm telling you now, Brian Kelly is shady. And to me, he's just an older version of Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. I don't know. Has Brian Kelly ever won a national title?
And he's not as offensively sound as Lincoln Riley. He don't have as good as an offensive mind as Lincoln Riley either.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's probably a fair thing to say. I mean, Lincoln Riley does create great offense. We already know that. So,
Fanatic Sports says Mizzou did change their whole defensive staff. Defense of LSU has been absent. Exactly what I'm talking about. We need to have Fanatic on here one day. I never had old Georgia Bulldog on here.
No, you've never had Georgia on here?
No, I almost called that 3-peat, Fanatic.
Yeah,
My
he
damn
did.
own team got in the way, man. I don't think
Yeah.
they're wrong with Alabama,
He,
man.
he almost caught up with LSU, but in a 3-year span.
Hell yeah. I remember telling old Fanatic when Georgia won that first one, you was on there with me. I was like, man, y'all gonna three-peat.
Yeah, and he was like, no, there's no.
Hey, you don't get ahead of yourself, man.
That would have been something if that would have
I
happened.
mean, there was a few plays in that game against Alabama that if they went another way, Georgia would have won that game. Georgia probably should have been in the playoffs, to be honest with you, over Washington. I mean, I'm just saying. To me, I think if you put Georgia and Washington on the field together, I bet Georgia would be favored. Right?
Now, I thought Georgia should have been in over Alabama, even though Alabama beat them.
I'll slap you in the mouth, man.
Sorry.
You just trying to kiss up now.
I said that in videos. I
You
made a
You
video
never
on
said
that.
You ain't never said that in no video.
Yes, I have. Alabama should. Oh, Washington was undefeated.
What are you talking about, man? Alabama beat Georgia.
I understand that.
You can't put them in. They just now beat them. Just
Okay, I got a question. Did LSU beat Alabama the year Alabama won the national title in 2011?
What are you talking about?
When LSU
That
beat
was
Alabama,
that was like apples and oranges. We got in over Oklahoma State.
no, I understand that.
That's two different teams. You grasping.
No, I'm not grasping at all. Just because you beat a team one time does not make you better.
A good old Alabama ass whipping when you come up here.
Yeah, okay.
Big Homies Kelly with a $2 donation says BK won 2 national championships at Grand Valley State. Woo!
Yeah.
Damn, that's impressive. Maybe he should get some players from Grand Valley State. Maybe he can be like, con time Deion Sanders and, moving on up, man.
Yeah, you can't say that because you boast about Brian DeBoer, talking about DeBoer, talking about Sioux Falls winning 6 national championships in that league.
They did. You're right.
So what? You're gonna bring over Sioux Falls players to Alabama?
No.
Okay.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that at Washington. He didn't do that at Fresno State. But guess who did do that? Con time Deion Sanders.
Oh, you're stupid.
So I did almost call it Outlaw with a Tough Love comparing Riley. Dang, that's tough. Yeah, he's just an older version, man. It's like he got in the damn DeLorean with Doc and Marty and went ahead of him somehow. But I'm not impressed with Kelly's ability to be genuine because he's a fake.
Well, and it's a moral thing. It's a character issue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't send a guy up in a tower in the middle of a damn thunderstorm and get his ass killed and shit like that. So he's just morally corrupt, like Jonathan said.
Yeah, I don't.
And eventually catches up to him. It seems like LSU always gets stuck with that here recently. First, they had Ed Orgeron out there screwing all the co-eds. Les Miles did the same thing.
No, here's the thing, though. Les Miles was kooky before he got to LSU. Ed Orgeron was kooky before he got to LSU. They're bringing in these guys and promoting them to head coach knowing they've had previous problems and then act surprised when they're on sanctions.
So you're saying it's LSU's fault?
I'm saying the damn athletic department should probably vet these guys a little bit more before they bring them in.
Yeah. Yeah, if someone's out there eating grass, it's probably a red flag for me. I'm like,
I mean, yeah.
All right, Les, you can come over here, but leave the grass alone, bro.
No, what I'm getting at is these coaches that were previously in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like they had clean records of any. Ed Orgeron was known to be corrupt. At USC, when he was making phone calls to recruit, when Lane Kiffin got caught red-handed calling Ed Orgeron to tell him to call recruits when he was on his way flying over to USC, and then gets caught, and then everybody's surprised why he's doing the same thing at LSU.
Big Coney Skelly says you forget that BK won at Cincinnati and Notre Dame had 4 10-win seasons.
You better Notre Dame because you were playing USC and these teams. Stanford on their down years.
The schedule that Notre Dame was playing was a great schedule back in the 1990s, but the schedule that Notre Dame was playing in this century wasn't really that hard.
No,
I mean the Stanfords of the world were not the Jim Harbaugh coach Stanfords and stuff. I know David, what's his name, was a decent coach, but it still wasn't the same. Notre Dame had a little bit of an easier schedule than most.
Yeah, than what was led on.
Cincinnati definitely had a weaker schedule. They were not even in the Big 12 then. They were what conference was Cincinnati in then? The AAC or the American?
When he was there, good Lord.
Yeah, when he was there, I think Cincinnati was in the American.
I want to say American Conference. I don't remember though. Big Honus Kelly, Les is currently being sued for. Yeah, Les is currently suing LSU, for the 37 vacated wins, and it's because he can't be inducted into the Hall of Fame because it puts his overall record below 60%, which is a requirement for the Hall of Fame. So,
Ian Hintz says, how many SEC teams will be in the top 25, and how many SEC teams do you think will be in the top 10 at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season?
Ooh, that's hard.
I would say at least 3 in the top 10.
In the top 10. So a lot of people are projecting.
We had 4 in the top 12.
Alabama, Georgia. A lot of people are pegging Ole Miss, Texas. That's 4.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm saying at the beginning of the year 4. I don't think Ole Miss should be in the top 10. I think they're on the fringe of 10.
Missouri's ranked by a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Damn, and Missouri. You possibly could have 4 to 5 in the top 10.
I think you're wrong about Missouri. I mean, you're going to have to make a bet on Missouri.
Dude, get the
Missouri's going to win. They're going to win at least 9 games this year.
Okay. Why don't you say 10? Make it 10.
Because that's how many I think.
I'll bet you if you say 10.
9 games is a good season.
No, you don't ever bet 9, number one. If you gamble, you never touch 9.
Why?
So it's either 10 or 8. Which one is
What's wrong with 9?
It's a superstition. So it's either 8, it is.
I don't care about your damn convoluted superstitions in the south side of Texas.
Why don't you have some nuts and say 10 if you're so behind Missouri? And
stop worrying about some voodoo curse and say 9.
Say 10. You
You
want to bet on 10?
You sound like Doc Holliday. Say 10 instead of say when.
That's funny.
Say 10.
Oh,
say
man.
10. Say it. Say it. Say 8.
Big Honest Guy says 6 SEC to begin the season. Damn, 6 in the top 10? Whew.
I mean, it could happen since you got so many.
No, I don't think it's going to be that many.
I could definitely see 5 at one point during the regular season. But as the season progresses, people start knocking each other off.
See, Fan Sports knows. Yeah, in spades, you're not allowed to go 9 in spades ever. You're either 8 or 10. You're either 10 for 2 or you're going 8. We already know how that works.
Superstitions is what do people in. So you need to stop that shit.
So I think I've been fairly successful gambling on college football. Not great, but I
don't think you've been successful at all.
Well, that's because you don't know.
You don't know that Mizzou is going to be the whole show.
So you're saying Mizzou's winning 10 games?
I'm saying they're going to win 9.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I think Mizzou will go 9-3. You're asking me for my honest opinion, right? You want me to be honest with you, right?
Yeah. Who are they losing to?
Well, I ain't got the schedule in front of me.
Well, you know what? Let me bring up the schedule.
Who are they losing to? 3 games they're going to lose? I mean, that should be easy to find 3 losses. Because hell, from what you're saying, they're going to go 6-6.
I didn't say that.
That's what you said.
No, I didn't.
You said they were going to fall off the face of the earth.
They'll probably go 7-5.
See?
All right, so they play.
You said 7-5. Okay, so we're going to bet 8. We're going to bet 8.
Here's what I'll say.
Betting 8. Oh no, 8's great.
Here's their schedule. They play. They got a weak schedule compared to most. Murray State, Buffalo, and Boston College, and Vanderbilt is their first 4 games. Oh yeah, let me bring it up. Let me zoom in first.
You better hurry up, boy. I'm gonna slap you.
Shut up. Let me bring it up. All right.
I can't get this other thing off there. You're gonna have to get it off.
Stop. Yeah, I got it. I got to teach you everything.
Feel like I got your girlfriend off the other night.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have one of those anymore. All right, got it up.
No, you ain't got one because I took it.
Bring it up. Yeah, okay. Bring it up.
Do it.
I did. You have to present it.
Here we go.
There you go. All right. So they start off the year with Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt. Those are all wins, clearly. Right. Exactly. So
now Boston College has got what's his name? Their head coach now. Billy
Shut up.
The boy that you love so much.
Look. 4 wins. So I'll give them 4. I haven't looked at their schedule that much.
No.
They have a weak schedule. Massachusetts too.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. You'll listen to me.
5, 6.
So 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0.
7.
They play at Texas A&M. That might be a loss.
I'm saying they're going to lose at Texas A&M. They're going to lose to Auburn. They're going to lose to Alabama. They're going to lose to Oklahoma. I think they can lose to South Carolina. I think they can lose at Mississippi State. I think, hell, they could possibly lose to Arkansas.
Yeah, they could possibly lose to Boston College.
I don't know about that, but I'm saying 8-4 at
If
max.
they go 9-3, they're going to have to sneak a game somewhere on the road.
They're going 8-4. I think
They could beat Mississippi State and South Carolina.
They can. I think the only trick is it's at South Carolina, at Mississippi State.
Key game for them and all that is that Auburn game.
Yeah, and it's funny.
You got Texas A&M and Alabama sandwiched around.
Yeah, Ian pointed that out. Unless they beat Auburn, so Buffalo isn't a pushover, and it's not a pushover. But if they're great, they should be able to beat Buffalo pretty handily.
Buffalo's going to be a pushover for Missouri. I
Yeah.
promise you that. They might not be a pushover for someone like, I don't know, Oklahoma State. Okey pokey chokey State.
But they do have Auburn, at Alabama, and Oklahoma. Those are 3.
What would be your surprise loss total for the Georgia Bulldogs if they were to mess around and lose a few games?
They're only going to lose
What
1
do
to
you
2
think?
games.
I mean, max, do you think they could end up losing 3 games?
Let me bring up the schedule.
With the schedule they got, people's automatically assuming Georgia's just going to walk through. I'm not so sure about that. Georgia's had a lot of trouble with Missouri too. I don't think they have to play Missouri this year.
How the hell do I bring it? There we go. All right, is it showing up?
Yeah.
All right, so
you start out with Clemson.
They're going to beat Clemson. They're not losing to Tennessee Tech. They're not losing to Kentucky. I think their loss could be to Alabama. They're not going to lose to Auburn because they're the one team that goes to the Plains and beats the living crap out of Auburn. Even then, it's at home. Mississippi State.
It's in Georgia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's even worse.
And they don't win Auburn either.
Yeah, they do.
They don't. Remember that tip ball where they screwed them?
Oh my God, you're talking about one game.
They don't run over Auburn down there.
Okay, so tell me who the 3 losses are going to be. Because maybe Alabama.
Could they lose 3 games? Could they do the unthinkable? I'm just asking a question.
No, they're not.
If they did lose 3 games, who would they lose to?
If you had to lose 3 games on this schedule, it's going to be Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss.
Yeah, and they got to go to Ole Miss. They got to go to the Grove.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I'm even putting Ole Miss on there. It's at Ole Miss. But, once again, Lane Kiffin hasn't been a world beater when it comes to key games.
What if Dabo and Clemson get their shit together for one game and they upset them? What do you think? How do you think that plays out for the rest of the season for the Georgia Bulldogs?
They probably lose 5 games if they lose to Clemson.
If they lose to Clemson, they'll lose 5 games?
Clemson is not that good of a team. I don't think this year – I think Clemson's played out at this point. I'm tired of giving them credit too.
Well, they don't care if you're tired. They're coming back.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people have them predicted to go to the national championship, and I don't see it.
A lot of people think they are going to rebound this year for whatever reason. A lot of the books are saying they're going to be close to that 12th spot, the 11th spot, and maybe get a playoff spot with Florida State. Get 2 ACC schools in.
Did the right guy really say Mizzou plays at UMass, right? Yeah, it's going to make it a lot closer.
What are you talking about? Oh, shit. They have to play at Massachusetts?
Hey, because I got to look at that. I know, I was making a slight at it, but let me bring it back up. Yeah, they play at Massachusetts.
That's when you know you're.
I didn't realize that.
That's when you know your program is not at the level it needs to be. Now, I took up from Missouri all I can take up for them. Y'all go and schedule a damn home and home with UMass, man. What the hell, man?
And you guys want to say they're going to be world beaters.
at least when Alabama went on the road to South Florida, at least we were playing in a nice big city like Tampa, and we give them a 2-for-1 deal. I wonder if this is a 2-for-1 deal with UMass.
It's got to be.
I don't even think UMass has a damn stadium that holds more than Vanderbilt, man.
I'm looking that up right now. So
I bet you it's about 30,000 seats in that stadium. UMass.
How many did you say? 30,000?
Yeah.
17,000.
See? What the fuck? Well, see, man, you got me cussed. I'm going to get red flag now.
17,000.
Man, my high schools here has got bigger stadiums than that, man.
Yeah. North ISD, the high school football stadium here, I'm pretty sure it's bigger than that. So, yeah, Rye guys, I don't get why you want to schedule a game at UMass. Not going to lie. Yeah, I don't understand.
Why would you do that, man? Why would you even think about doing that? UMass, Missouri their stadium holds about what, 65,000, 70,000?
Missouri's got to be pretty big. I don't know if it's 70.
The ticket sales drop that you're getting at. And see, South Florida had a big stadium to play in. We went down there and played in that NFL stadium, right?
Yeah, we did. We played, in the Tampa. 62,000 is Missouri.
See? I mean, if you were a little bit closer, maybe if you had Vanderbilt size stadium, maybe a 40,000 seats. I think Vanderbilt's is 40,000. And you might be able to do a home and home.
17,000? They better worry about that. Yeah. Would they have home field advantage for the 17,000 fans? We have more fans show up for tailgates than they do to their stadium can hold.
Right guy says he bets all 5 UMass fans will show up for that game.
Yeah. I wonder how much the tickets are to that game.
Hey, you can look that shit up too. That'll be the game we go to this year.
Let's see here.
We're going to go to the neutral site game this year. We're going to go to UMass and Mizzou.
Let's see here. I'm going to look at Vivid Seats for UMass when they play. Where is that? In the middle of the season, right?
The Nebraska Rascal says Dabo needs a better quarterback.
Their most expensive seat that I could see is $134. And that's on the 50-yard line in the front row.
UMass charges $134 for tickets.
50-yard line on the front. It's a little different, bro. You're talking about the best seat in the house.
That's still a game at UMass, man. That'd be like charging me $134 to go watch County High play freaking Hillcrest or some shit.
Their average ticket's about $40, $50.
Well, that's better than I thought.
For 17,000.
Holy mother of God!
You better get your tickets now before they sell out.
Man, and we got NAIA schools down here in Alabama that got bigger stadiums than that.
Now, when they play Wagner College Seahawks, whatever that is, believe it or not, their tickets are more expensive.
Yeah, because they got a chance to win.
Good point.
Big Conus Kelly says they might as well play at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. That probably would have been a better idea. Maybe that might be what's going on now. They might be going to play that game in Foxborough.
All right, I don't know who said it, but they asked about Alabama, who they could lose to. That's why I brought up their schedule. So, in all fairness, Alabama can lose to Georgia, I think Tennessee, possibly Oklahoma, and I think I think at worst Alabama goes 9-3. 8-4 is a possibility if things are not put together the way they should be.
A lot of people think that this might be the year that Nebraska surprises some people.
Shut up. Every year. Every year it's Nebraska.
We got a Nebraska guy in here. Nebraska Rascal says Dabo needs a better quarterback.
No, I get it, but I want to see Nebraska just do it. I'm sick and tired of hearing and reading about it.
Nebraska schedule in front of you?
No.
Maybe how many can be back like Texas?
How many games? Shut up. How many games does Alabama lose? How many can they lose? How many can they lose on the schedule?
You gonna bring the Nebraska schedule up if I tell you?
Yes. How many can they lose?
Alabama this year, if things started snowballing the wrong way, we could definitely lose 3 or 4 games.
I say 4 games would be the max we'd lose. I say 8-4 is a realistic thing Alabama fans better get braced for. But I think 9-3 and 10, probably 10-2 is your more realistic.
I would say
9-3.
9-3 is realistic. I don't know about 8-4.
You don't think they could lose 4 games?
Well, I mean, anybody can lose 4 games if they get the kind of injuries.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Get. But the big telltale sign would be us going up to Camp Randall to see how we handle that early on.
I don't know about that. I think we're going to handle that pretty well.
Because we get a week off before we have to play Georgia. So that week off before Georgia is going to be really helpful, I do believe.
Yeah, and they're not playing Nick Saban.
We do have to go to Tennessee again. Last time we went to Tennessee, they beat us. So
here's Nebraska's schedule. UTEP, that's a win. Colorado, that's a win. Northern Iowa, that's a win. Illinois, I don't know, because is Blema still there? He seems like he's been doing pretty good at Illinois, or decent.
I don't know if he's still there or not. He might still be there.
Purdue, that's not a given because Purdue occasionally they get their shit together. Rutgers is a win. Indiana's a win. Ohio State's a loss. UCLA, I'm not 100%.
The Colorado game will be a revenge game for the coaches, I think.
Yeah. So
the Colorado game is going to be really big for them because that last year was what unraveled their season, I think, when they lost to Colorado the way they did.
All right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go check on my kids real quick. You take over talking about Nebraska's schedule.
Well, you better go check, boy.
Shut up. How do I mute
you
this?
Check on my kids. Jonathan goes plays Mr. Mom. Dustin Hoffman's style, except 2 feet taller. We'll go with Nebraska's schedule here because we have some Nebraska people in here as well. Do y'all think Nebraska may be a surprise team this year that may come back? A lot of people think they might. I think they can beat UTEP. I think they can beat Colorado. Northern Iowa, of course. Illinois, I think they can beat Purdue. I think they can beat Rutgers. I think they can beat Indiana. That's a pretty easy schedule. Let's first wait till Jonathan puts his headphones back on. Man, those first 7 games are probably the easiest schedule I've seen so far we've had up here, man. The only hard game, decent game they got is against Colorado, and that's not really a hard game. They could go 7-0 before they play Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they play UCLA. UCLA's not that great. USC, we don't know what we're going to get with USC.
I think they'll have a 1 loss at least by the time they play Ohio State. That's a 2, 3, 4.
Who are they going to lose to?
I think they could win the first. Okay. There's a possibility they can lose to Illinois and they can lose to Purdue.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Them teams sort of suck, don't
they? Illinois has been popping up and win. I don't know. Have you been watching Nebraska the past couple of years?
Yeah. I'm just saying they looked like they made some progress last year.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah, I mean,
I think Illinois was doing decent, and then last year I think they took a step back. I'm not sure what their record was.
Yeah, they may have. But what I'm getting at is Nebraska is not a for sure thing. It's not like they're going to go into the season and just beat people they're supposed to beat. They haven't done it in how many years or decades?
You're right. I mean, they got to prove it, right?
Yes, that's what
I'm just saying that they're not games that they're just. You don't see one game in that first 7 that's an automatic loss.
No, not that's an automatic loss.
That's all I was saying.
But I think they can lose to Illinois or Purdue, so that's why I give them.
If they lost to Colorado, Illinois, or Purdue.
So I think they could go into Ohio, and I think they could lose their last 5 games in a row.
Maybe.
So
I'm not really impressed with Iowa. I really don't know what we're getting with Wisconsin yet.
I'm not impressed with Iowa, but they have won the Big Ten. Like the Big Ten, well, sorry, not Big Ten, the division in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they ain't won no Big Ten.
But the division is what I'm talking about. So
nobody can get past Ohio State and Michigan. It's the big 2.
Now you got Oregon to deal with.
Yeah, Oregon's going to present some problems for some people.
And Ben Cohen, as Kelly has a point, Nebraska's success. It does depend on Dylan Raiola, 100%.
Right.
I haven't been paying. Are you talking about? You guys still talking about the neck beard? I haven't even been paying attention. Neck beard is Mr. Mom to future neck beards.
Boomer Mike thinks that the ones that decommitted from USC are trying to get a better bag from Mugga. Well, that's everybody.
Yeah, a couple of them are from Georgia. They were committed to USC.
Neckbeard is Mr. Mom, the future neckbeards. I was telling you he was being Mr. Mom. It's an old movie. I think it's got Dustin Hoffman in it or some shit. Or either.
Well,
it might not have been Dustin Hoffman. It might have been that guy that played Batman, Michael Keaton. I think it was Michael Keaton that was Mr. Mom.
Well, I hope my daughter does not get a neck beard. So, yeah. But my son, we'll see. Let's see here. Nebraska always loses games they should win. But, yeah, they just got to go in and win all these games they lost by one score.
They've been losing games by one score for like 3 years now.
They had to break a damn record last season or the year before? They lost like 5 in a row.
Scott Frost was a cruel bastard, man. He'd get them close to every game, man, and lose. Find somebody to lose. It wouldn't matter who it was. They'd play Ohio State tough, and then they'd turn around and play Georgia Southern tough and end up losing to Georgia Southern too under Scott Frost. And a lot of these Oklahoma fans and Nebraska fans say they yearn for yesteryear when them two teams used to play year in and year out. It was a great rivalry, and it was. But they make it out like they were so sportsmanlike to each other. I mean, you talked about this, but it really wasn't a sportsmanlike series. They used to run and score up on each other.
Yep.
In the 90s, Nebraska put 70-something points on Oklahoma a few times.
Yeah, they did.
And then Oklahoma turned around and done the same shit to Nebraska. So it ain't as friendly as people make it out to be. They run the score up on each other all the time. You'll rarely ever see Alabama put the game in the 50s on Auburn. Very rarely.
You had a 36-0 game. You had you very rarely seen it.
The only way we did it one time was because we had to. Remember they won that game 55-44?
Yeah. That's different. So I don't know I don't know how to take that comment from Donnie. Nebraska would probably have a better chance to rebound if they were in the SEC. I think it's a better fit for them.
Maybe he's talking about it would help their recruiting.
Yeah, it would definitely help the recruiting, I would assume. But I feel like Nebraska's like, damn, it's just in the middle of nowhere, man, and it's really hard.
What hurt Nebraska is when they went to the Big Ten, they lost the recruiting base in Texas.
Did
All
they?
them Texas kids didn't want to travel out there and play in freaking Maryland and Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
So Texas, A&M, and Missouri come to the SEC, and they basically kept their recruiting base. Texas and Oklahoma, same thing. They're not losing their recruiting base. Nebraska lost their recruiting base when they went to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In a way.
So, and I agree with Big Coney's Cali. Nebraska deserved to be back more than Miami or USC. Yeah. You want Nebraska to be good. It's one of those teams that just should be good, in my opinion. Like, Nebraska deserves to be in that. And I feel like their location kind of kills them a little bit when it comes to it. And you have to have that right mix. You have to have a great recruiter, period, out in Nebraska.
This right here is the difference in someone keeping their job.
Yeah.
4-19 in the past 3 seasons.
Yep.
In one-score games. If Scott Frost just gets a few of those,
if
he goes them all, but if he just gets a few more of them, he's probably still got his job.
Yeah.
I mean, if he could have went, 23 games? If he could have went 13-10 in those games, he'd probably still have his job at Nebraska.
Yeah.
What is Fred Bagley talking about? OU and Nebraska fans respected each other. Well, they may have, but the teams didn't. That's all I'm saying. I mean, someone to put 70 points on your respected rival, that don't sound like respect to me. That sounds like running up the score.
That's why Clemson hates West Virginia so much. When West Virginia hung 70 points on Clemson in a bowl game.
That was the game that got Kevin Steele fired.
Yes, it was.
That's when Dabo realized I might need to get some defense.
Yeah, Clemson. Was that the year that really turned it around for them? Because didn't they get Brent Venables? Or they got Brent Venables the following
That's
year,
when they
right?
started coming around to, we can't do this shit. We can't win games. We can win games, but you're not going to never win a championship with that kind of mentality where you're just going to try to outscore everybody. It's just like Lincoln Riley. Once again, he can't get it. And, a lot of people talking about Mike Leach deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but he ain't got a 60% winning percentage. They're only saying that because he just passed away, in my opinion. He never could win a championship with that offense. He can win 7 games and get you in a bowl and say some funny shit about Pirates, but he's not going to win a championship.
Yep.
Because they don't take defense serious enough. And you ain't got to have a shutdown defense. You just got to have a little bit of defense. Hold teams to about 24 points.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, that year they had Baker Mayfield, if they were able to hold teams to 24 points or less, they win the national championship.
If they would have held their shit together against Georgia, they would have won the national championship.
Yeah, they would have beat Alabama, probably.
Yeah. I believe they would have. And that's what kills me is when you go back and watch that Oklahoma-Georgia game, you were screaming the entire time, like in the second half.
Yeah, it was 31-14, and then they squib kicked that ball or something and put Georgia in position to get a field goal right before halftime.
Yes, and Georgia kicked that 51 or whatever yarder field goal.
Field goal right before halftime ended up being the difference in the game.
Yep. It shifted the whole momentum of the game. Like, I just whew.
Ian Hance earlier said it was a great show so far. He likes our interaction, our tag team efforts here.
Yeah. We've been doing it together for a long time.
Seems like every time the Huskers ran the ball with success, they stopped running it and started throwing interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. Oklahoma against Georgia, they got conservative. Willie Mays got a mural and a statue at Alabama.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a hell of a lot better than giving a mural to George Floyd in Minnesota, right?
Willie Mays, yeah. I did not know.
We give murals to real heroes down here, not people on fentanyl.
I didn't know that he died.
Yeah, he died just, I think it was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he was 93 years old, yeah. Yeah, in Birmingham, Alabama. Dang, man. So, that sucks.
Right guy says he guesses geographically Nebraska does fit the Big Ten, but culturally not as much. Yeah. Geography's out the window these days, except for the SEC. We're all still joined. We're conjoined geographically. Even though Missouri's probably a little bit of a cheat. I don't know what Missouri's considered. They're not considered north, not considered west.
They're mid. They're literally mid. Mid-poo.
That's right. They're in the middle of poo.
Mid-poo.
Mid-poo fighting tigers from Columbia.
Jesus. What do you guys think about the whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese thing? That's a whole debate. Get some people fired up in here real quick.
I'm going to get me Indiana. I'm going to get me an Indiana Fever jersey and a hat. I'm going to put that on my wall up there.
Oh, Lord.
That's who you should date, man. She's almost as tall as you.
You're so stupid. I don't know how tall she is. She's got to be at least 6'6'1".
Y'all make some damn giant ass kids, boy.
You're stupid. She got too much money now.
Man, Jonathan figured out why he's got a neck beard, by the way. It's because he's so tall, his beard can't grow that far up.
It doesn't continue up.
It's the elevation, man. It's like a mountain, certain shit can't grow that high up.
You're stupid. Big on Kelly said,
You think Caitlin Clark's hot? A lot of people say
no.
The reason why they're giving her hell is because she's a pretty white girl. And I'm like, she's a white girl.
She's pretty, but I don't think she's like hot.
Yeah, some people acting like she's like hot, like Anna Kournikova hot. I'm just like,
she's not even close to Anna Kournikova. Let's stop that disrespect right now.
She's not dog ugly, like you said.
She's pretty. She's an average, pretty white girl.
Yeah, she's probably a 6.
Because this shit rolls down. You're so stupid. Oh man,
shit does roll downhill. That's why Louisiana's down at the bottom of the United States.
Yeah, I can't. I won't disagree with you, right, guy. Like that's what a lot of people are saying. WNBA just doesn't want a straight white woman as the face of their league.
Yeah, it's stupid, man. I mean, what does your sexual orientation have to do with anything as far as your career? Never have understood why people feel the need to come out. I'm like, you don't see me running out there saying, hey, I just want y'all know before we kick off that I'm straight and I like vagina. I just got to let y'all know that before this game starts because that's a very important thing to know before we start playing football.
Mentioning, Right Guy mentions Cameron Brink. I think Cameron Brink's definitely better looking, in my opinion, than Caitlin Clark. But she tore her ACL yesterday, by the way. So I think she's out for the season with a torn ACL. How I know information about the WNBA? Isn't this? That's funny, bro. I couldn't name a player.
And there's a reason why. It's 2 words.
Yeah, it's because of Caitlin Clark. I'm not even gonna mess around because I've watched her play games now. Like when she came in, I wanted to watch her because a lot of her shots are ridiculous. You want to see that crap, but yeah, you're right. It is because of her.
Them 3-point shots don't discriminate.
No, they don't. Cameron Brink tore ACL. I can't believe I'm giving information about the WNBA on this channel. Record it. It's a first.
If Caitlin Clark leaves, the players will go back to flying economy.
Yeah, I agree. Now the WNBA was statistically moving and improving each year. It just wasn't by much. Caitlin Clark exponentially, right? Put them I think these are 6 years ahead of where they were. So they fast tracked 6 years.
Like I told you, if I was her, I'd just go to Europe, man. So the hell with this WNBA shit.
Well, I mean, I don't blame her. She's making a point. She's not going to be ran off.
Yeah.
Like you're not just going to run me out.
One person can just take so much after a while, and you just get tired of it, man.
I agree, and I believe the WNBA would stop that. You know what I mean? If it gets to that point, I would hope. But yeah, I know the names of actually like quite a few WNBA players and teams, which is mind-boggling.
And you brought this up to me the other day. I think it was you, Jonathan, that told me that she got offered to play for the Big Three.
Yeah, she did, but she turned it down.
That's what Nebraska said. Caitlin should go play for the Big Three.
Yeah, she got offered $15 million, $5 million
so she'd be
a
playing
year.
with a bunch of dudes, right?
It had been a mixture of guys and girls.
Okay, so this is like a co-ed league or some shit?
Yeah, it's basically Big Three, so like a 3-on-3 tournament.
Do they have just female teams, or do they have females and males on the court at the same time?
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments, but I think they're co-ed. I think they're playing. I think it's like female and female and guy on guy. I don't know if they have any females on the team right now, but I do know he's trying to get them. I have to Google Cameron.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either. Y'all talking about this hot chick named Cameron Brink. I'm gonna have to go look her up after I get off here.
She's a tall blonde. She's tall. She's like 6'4". So
man, that means she's only 7 inches shorter than you. She's almost there.
Stupid.
When you come to Alabama, man.
When I get the money.
Go ahead. You was about to say something. My bad.
No, I do agree, though. People need to chill out on her because Caitlin is making them a lot of money. I released a video on my channel today where Cheryl Swoops got interviewed by Gilbert Arenas, and it's hard to watch Cheryl Swoops. She was a WNBA player, right? So it's really hard to watch. The amount of race baiting and everything that goes into these podcasts is insane. It makes it really, really hard to watch.
Man, you need to find a way to go to Norman this year for the Alabama game.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be nice if I could go to Norman. Never been.
Brett Bagley said she'd come right up to my neck beard. Yes, Nebraska. Yeah, Cameron Brink plays for the Sparks. See, once again, I know she plays for the Los Angeles Sparks. Like, good Lord.
Well, it's just like one of the regular season games with Caitlin Clark sold more tickets than one of the NBA final games.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of research on the WNBA lately because of all this going on with Caitlin Clark.
Donnie said most of it's being created by that media cancer ESPN. Yeah, ESPN, a lot of people have been saying some stuff. It's got me worried a little bit because, that's the network that carries our conference. If ESPN ends up going down, I mean, could that be the opening that the Big Ten needs to maybe surpass the SEC?
It could be, because this whole Caitlin Clark thing is it's putting ESPN in a tight spot because they forced Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee to issue apologies about this whole Caitlin Clark issue. And they're still going. They issued an apology, but it was not an apology, right? If you go and watch them, they're basically spitting in ESPN's face. Like Stephen A. Smith is doing. You're getting the people really that normally do not do this, by the way, that are starting to conform to this, right? LeBron James, Charles Barkley, Stephen A. Smith, like Pat McAfee,
Right.
You would expect it because he's very open. He's just going to tell both sides. But those three have notoriously been, on one side. And right now, that's not the case. What's going on, Coos? I'm a super fan of WNBA.
Well, I'm not just talking about the Caitlin stuff. There's so many other things going on right now with ESPN that they don't look very stable. And I give Coos and a lot of the Big 12 people hell, been aggravating the hell out of them. But it could also be an opening for the Big 12 too to get closer to the SEC. If we start having trouble with our network, if ESPN for some reason goes down and goes bankrupt or some shit, I mean, who's carrying the Big 12 games? Is Fox carrying Big 12 games as well as Big 10 games? I don't know.
I don't know, but ESPN is not going bankrupt with Disney backing them.
Disney's having problems.
Disney is not going bankrupt.
That's not what I've been hearing they're having some major issues financially.
Yeah, well, it would take something like a global firestorm, like 1929, to happen all over again.
I just wish our games weren't on ESPN. I'll be honest.
No, and I agree with that.
I wish they were still on CBS or Fox. Hell, I'd even take the Notre Dame Broadcasting Network over at the NBC.
Koo said Big 12 has games on ESPN and Fox. See, ESPN has their way in everything now. They have literally crawled into every crevice.
Yeah, but Fox has got part of them too.
Fox
has got the Big 10.
Well, yeah, but they're not even in the playoffs.
ESPN don't have Big 10.
No, they don't. But
they don't have their hands in everything.
Not everything, but they have their hands in the entire football playoff. I can tell you that. Fox doesn't have one game.
Yeah, that right now. I think that's going to change, don't you?
No, it is going to change. But the thing about it is the fact that they got a whole year where it's just them and ABC is incredible. By incredible, I mean I don't understand how that happened. So
ESPN owns 66% and Fox owns 33% of the Big 12 games.
There you go. The majority's still in ESPN's hands. That's what I'm saying. Like it.
The saving grace for Fox right now is the Big 10.
Oh, God, you need to ban John Ritchie for that statement. Let's tell the truth. John is a Brittany Griner fan. Hell no.
Hell yeah.
No. I don't want a woman that speaks like this.
Brittany Griner's got – she probably can grow a full beard.
Yeah. No, that's somebody – look, anybody dumb enough to go to Russia and carry a cart, yeah.
No woman's got a voice like it, man. Let's be honest here.
I
heard that the Russian authorities had trouble deciding which prison to put her in. They didn't put her in a man prison because they knew she would have just got raped and just violated.
Well, maybe she's a big girl.
Rumor has it that she's not a girl; she's a hermaphrodite.
Well, that's a rumor. You always hear shit like that.
And she pulled her pants down. That's why he's trying to decide where to put her. She's like, "Damn, she got a Jack in the Box down there."
So what's her height? She's 6'9". I think she's raping men.
You only got her about 2 inches.
You're stupid. That's a lot, right? 2 inches? That's a lot. I think most would agree with that.
It's like your micro penis.
You're so stupid.
That's what you get for growing so tall. It made your pecker grow up inside of you.
Oh, my Lord.
Like a damn turtle head.
You're so stupid. Sound like you're talking from experience.
You got an ingrowing penis.
That would be something.
That's what Brittany Griner's got. She's got an ingrowing penis. You can pull that shit out like a sock. Like, come right out.
We have completely went off the hinges or the rails.
And you get to the tail end of this shit.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, there's no other news I can find on here.
Yeah, cuz you always come in here when the train's about to derail, man. It's your freaking fault, man. It's damn Big 12 people. I'm glad Jonathan told me to grill your ass now. It's all Jonathan's idea in the first place.
You didn't grill him.
Jonathan said I done lost my touch. So I don't grill as hard as I used to.
He doesn't.
Couldn't believe he said that to me.
Truth hurts sometimes.
Felt like Mike Tyson at the press conference.
Yeah, you look like him too.
I ain't got no tattoo on my face.
Not yet. When I put my balls in your face, you'll have one.
Chris said I would have anyways. What'd I do?
It's about grilling him.
I was trying to come down a little bit and be more positive, man.
He said it was never on the rails.
I talked to Jonathan on the phone last night. He's like, man, you're losing your touch. You need to start grilling everybody.
Well, I mean, you used to like really go after people, and now he's just gotten soft. But I mean, that's just what I think.
You broke your back. It's spinal.
Oh my God.
What'd you do, man?
See, he knows what's up. He said, Jonathan doing the best to keep it on the rails, and I'm trying.
That's what y'all think, man. Y'all ain't heard the phone conversations. I just play a part. I'm actually a nice guy. I just play a character on here. Jonathan's just puppeteering this shit. Like this.
Oh, man. No, I'm not like that. Ian says, who do you guys think will be in the playoffs? That could take an hour and a half to go over that. Yeah, Disney's bleeding money.
If we didn't have 12 teams, I could get probably better tell you.
Let me bring up.
Donnie said Disney is bleeding money. Movies are bombing and park attendance is down. They depend on BlackRock money. I agree with that.
Well,
they shut Alex Jones down. I heard the federal authorities shut his ass down.
Yeah. Disney is up. I mean, I don't know how well you guys look at things. Like in contrast, I do a lot of stocks, but in 2011, I'm looking at $40 a share. Their peak was this prior to COVID? Yeah, prior to COVID was like in 130s, but obviously COVID brought them down. But they're starting to go back up.
Chris said that comment he made was a comment from Mike Tyson. That's one of his favorite quotes from Mike Tyson. I didn't understand. That's why it's like, I never heard that one.
And Inside Out 2 made a lot of money. That didn't bomb. I heard that was a really good movie.
What?
Disney movie, Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2 might have done good, but I know that damn Woman King shit bombed. And
I heard it did.
Some of the Rock's movies are bombing left and right. So he pulled that Oprah Winfrey shit out of his ass. But,
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. Out there begging for money in Hawaii, and they're billionaires.
Well, they're about
if you
to
make minimum wage, you should give money. If you make minimum wage, you should give money.
Well, they're about to get a new CEO, so. All right, well, Moana 2 will make a lot. Yeah, you're right there, Cruz. That will. Because the first Moana made a ton of money.
Moana 2 won't make as much as Moana 1, probably.
No, but it still is going to make a lot.
They're going to be like the Toy Story franchise.
Toy Story tailed off.
No, I didn't. You seen part 4? Part
Yeah,
4
I've
was
seen
great.
I've seen them all.
Part 4 was just as good as part 1. Now 2 and 3, I didn't like 2 and 3 as much, but part 1 and part 4 were pretty good.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got a Toy Story shirt on that was given to me for my birthday.
But you're comparing 4 movies to one just coming out with a second one. Yeah, well, Koo said I wasn't a huge. Well, Moana isn't targeted towards 40-year-old West Virginia bald men.
Actually,
Our target audience, Koo.
Actually, Pixar is like a family movie. It's
is.
for the whole family. Just like Toy Story. I got the Toy Story shirt on.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say that I'm too old to be wearing a Toy Story shirt.
Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm wearing it, man.
All right.
What you gonna do about it?
I like Toy Story. I'm just saying.
You ain't gonna do shit. Just say it.
You're grilling Disney while you're wearing a Disney shirt.
I know. I'm mad at them because I want them to stop doing all the perverted shit so I can enjoy their product. So I can enjoy their entertainment without having to worry about them doing perverted shit and trying to push transgenderism and all that other crazy shit they try to push. The gay-ass Buzz Lightyear movies they made.
Oh, I watched that. I didn't think it was that bad. Did you watch it?
They need to release another season of Punisher, says Kuz. Yeah, the new Star Wars have been awful, from what I hear.
Yeah, that I've heard is, yeah. Where did porn enter this conversation? Fred Bagley. I had 2 buddies that went to see Moana. They thought it was porn. Were your buddies high?
Went to see what?
He said, what? He said he had 2 buddies that went to see Moana, and they thought it was porn. Yeah, they always had adult humor, but I've watched Moana plenty of times with my daughter, and I don't think anything like that.
Yeah, true. Sort of like the Flintstones. That was meant to be an adult cartoon.
Yeah.
But anyway, about ready to get up out of here?
Yeah, we're at that point of talking about Disney movies.
We done went off the rails, like Kuz said, and headed for the mountain. We run into the damn mountain.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I appreciate everybody getting on here. Obviously, thank you, Fred, for always pointing out the neck beard.
That's right.
Never fails. If I know he's on here, which is on every one.
Shout out to Numbskull News and Killer Breeze for showing up for the fight that they were supposed to have. I've never had 2 people beg to debate each other not show up. Both people not show up. So I guess they scared each other. Yeah. I guess we'll call it a draw.
If anybody wants to debate me, let me know. I love debate because JPC's already lost too many times. So
I already owned your ass alone.
No, he's definitely not. We already know who, like he says, the puppet thing.
You're like a homecoming opponent.
Like you admitted, I'm the one that controls things. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
you missed the train wreck, Tim.
You did.
But I will say that the first hour and 10 minutes or so were probably decent. The last 30 minutes was all over the place.
That's because we run out of things to talk about that's in the news, and then we just kind of venture.
That's right.
Either way, thanks, Fred, all the normal Mary, John Ritchie, all you guys, right guy, everybody, Coos for getting on here and contributing. So other than that, I'll see you guys next live stream. And thank you, JPC, for having me on your spectacular show.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with me.
Yeah.
That was college football with Jonathan Lewis. And like I said, y'all give a shout out to Numbskull News and Killer Breeze for not showing up for the fight that they wanted, the debate that they wanted so badly. Neither one of them could even show up. Maybe I'll have to find someone else that's willing to fight the good fight. I tried to get Kuz on here too, try to defend, his point of view on some of the Big 12 stuff, but he's actually having to drive. At least he did show up in the comments tonight. I'll give him that. But yeah, never had someone ask for a debate and both people not show up. Guess there's a first time for everything, huh? Maybe I can find an Oklahoma guy out there to debate Numbskull, and maybe we can allay Numbskull's fear so much. Y'all talk to Numbskull and tell him that y'all not gonna grill him too hard for having a bad opinion of Bob Stoops. Maybe he'll come on here again. All right. Any other questions before I get out of here? Night, Mary Caroline. See you later. I'm glad to see you again. Didn't comment a lot towards the end, but I appreciate you sticking around with us. Donna Chiad says, woke is for loser. Disney owns Linky Boy. It's now sports with Jonathan Lewis. Yeah, I didn't think Jonathan could get any more vague and vanilla, but he did. I didn't think he could get more vanilla than that, but he did, because he's very vanilla now. I tried to get him to change it to Neckbeard Sports. And I'm not being funny when I say that. I think that will be unique unto itself. So, yeah, it was college football with Jonathan Lewis. Now he chopped it off even more down to sports with Jonathan Lewis. Well, why don't you say Neckbeard Sports then, man? You can talk about everything sports and even, interject some comedy with the neckbeard. All right, guys and gals, y'all take care. And KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.